Annyeonghaseyo, this is meowmurai. Let's continue our game of Paranormasight, the Mermaid's Curse, running on Nintendo Switch 2. The woman we spoke to said the sketch was really accurate. No doubt in her mind it was Ikoma. Well, that accurate. Then I'm sure we've got the right person. Still, how'd you even make that sketch? There was nothing left of the victims but bones. Well, let's just say it's classified for now. Right. Guess that means I shouldn't pry any further. Somakawa. Oh yeah, I also looked in that lady you were asking about, Somakawa. Oh yes, did you find anything? Well, it seems she hasn't registered as a resident even though she moved here 5 years ago. And nothing comes up for Somakawa in the civil registry either. So I'm afraid I don't have anything on who she is or where she came from. Sorry to disappoint. I see. Is that quite common? Happens. It's not unheard of for folks from the countryside to come here for work and just drift on with no one really knowing who they are. Apparently it was really common during the post-war growth period. It seems we have quite the mystery woman on our hands. Yep, though there is something I've been wondering about. Oh, let's hear it. You have some idea who she might be? Well, have you heard of the Kamishima Southern Sea disaster? It was a big maritime disaster that struck 5 years back. I have, yes. One of the victims of that disaster was an ama diver and housewife from Kamishima by the name of Mada Minakuchi. But it seems her maiden name was Somakawa. So, our mystery woman shares a surname with a maritime disaster victim. I'm impressed you managed to dig that up. I was already looking into the Kamishima disaster because of the skeletal remains, so it was a happy coincidence, if anything. Oh, so you thought they might be related too? I'm glad it wasn't just me. Anyway, it seems like the bodies of those disaster victims were never found in the end, which got me thinking. Wait, are you saying... Yep. I was thinking Mada Minakuchi could have survived the disaster 5 years ago. And you think when she moved to Ichika and started going by her old name of Samakawa again? That's right. What do you think? It seems like a long shot, but maybe. But if that's the case, why would she have stayed in Ichika for 5 whole years without thinking to contact her family? Maybe she lost her memories in the disaster. Right, if she only had her old memories to rely on, it wouldn't be that odd if she went back to using her old name. Surely her appearance would still be the same. Though. It is difficult to imagine no one recognizing her for 5 whole years. It's possible she just never ran into anyone she knew. That kind of thing more likely than you'd think. Or that kind of thing's more likely than you think. Oh, speaking of appearances, I found a picture of Mada Minakuchi from a report on the disaster. I haven't met this Somakawa myself, so could you take a look for me and let me know what you think? Let's see. Oh, this is interesting. What do you think, Soto? If she aged 5 years and grown badly gaunt, I can certainly see how this woman might come to resemble Miss Somakawa. My thoughts exactly. So, you agree it's a pretty solid theory? It's certainly worth looking into, yes. But if she really is Mada Minakuchi, there's something else that concerns me. Something else? This is just what I've heard. But it seems like the islanders over in Kamishima think this Mada Minakuchi was the cause of the disaster 5 years ago. What? Why would they think that? No idea, but it seems like it's pretty much taken for granted by most of the folks over there. Even just mentioning her name is a sort of taboo. So, I was thinking it wouldn't be that odd if she felt she couldn't go back home because of that. Surely not. Seems as good a reason as any why she wouldn't want to come forward anyway. If she really is related to the storm 5 years ago, she's a point of interest regardless of her connection to the skeletal remains. Perhaps it's worth looking into that first. Can I leave talking to Miss Somakawa to you two then? We'll handle that, yes. So, people believe this Mare Minakuchi called forth the curse of the raging waves 5 years ago, do they? I didn't expect the curse of the raging waves to come up here of all places. Wait. That's it. I remember now. The sole survivor of Ise-Shima, his surname was Somakawa. There was something else about Somakawa. A wooden box? Surely that'd be too much of a coincidence. Well, that's about all I had to report. Thank you, Detective. That was very informative. As for our next move, could we ask you to keep looking into Akipe Ikoma for us? Roger that. We'll see if we can find Somakawa again and hear what she has to say. Unfortunately, it looks like our trip to Kamishima will have to wait until tomorrow. So it seems. Oh, you had business on Kamishima too? That was actually our original reason for coming here, yes. But now we've gotten caught up in all this other troublesome business, so it looks like dealing with that will have to come first. And here I was hoping to get this over with as soon as possible so I could get back to my husband. I see. You sure are devoted to your husband. Oh, very much. Though I do worry as he never eats properly when I'm not around. In any case, please do get in touch if you find anything else of note. Even if it's just something out of the ordinary happening, anything could be of help. Sure, will do. Though you're kind of making me worried something might actually happen now. I'd certainly prefer if it didn't. Anyway, we're counting on you, Detective. Date unknown, August 1980X afternoon, Toba City, Ijikutan. Bad news, ma'am. It seems we were a step too late. What do you mean? It seems someone came and took that Somakawa woman out to sea just a few minutes ago. What? According to the witness, a foreign man came to the port with Miss Somakawa in tow. Then they boarded a motorboat that was moored there and headed out into the bay. It didn't appear to be by force, so we can probably assume they knew each other. A foreign man? Not sure what's going on, but we should probably get a boat and follow just in case. Yes, let's see if... Soto, what's wrong? The spiritual force is overwhelming. My body won't move. What's going on? That girl over there, is she doing this? You can withstand this curse? You really are quite strong, mister. Sorry, but I can't let you go any further. I'll have to ask you to leave. Vitikos Numa Guardian Spirit, grant me the wisdom of the numinous, O High Guiding Spirit. Light my path ahead. Seems they saved us the effort of searching for them. So it seems. Let's see if this girl can tell us what we want to know. Who are you? I could ask the same of you. What do you want with Miss Somakawa? So, you know who Miss Somakawa is, do you? Maybe. What is it to you? Ma'am, this girl's spirit sense is extremely potent, but she lacks experience. She seems hesitant to employ curses against people. If I have an opening, I can use my curse of binding to restrain her. Usually it's too risky to use on ordinary people, but that shouldn't apply here. Alright, I certainly wouldn't mind getting some information out of her, so this is as good as an opportunity as any. I'll see if I can get her to lower her guard. When she wavers, I'll signal for you to use the curse of binding. Sound like a plan? Sounds like a plan. On your signal. Use Soto Kiryo's curse of binding to restrain your opponent when they let their guard down. Press the use curse button to signal him to use it. You only have 3 chances to use the curse. Oh. Appease, threaten, compliment. Give up. Question. Can we assume the foreign man who took Miss Samakawa is a friend of yours then? So, what if he is? Why are you trying to follow them? What do you want with Miss Samakawa? I would say the same to you. You just want the relic for yourself, don't you? What? You know about the relic? You certainly have remarkable strength for your age. Why, it might even be too much for us. What's with the sudden praise? You're creeping me out. It's no good. She's too wary of us. Seems I'll have to press her further before she'll give us an opening. If you know about the relic, I'm afraid we can't let you get away. Get away? I'm the one holding you here. I'm the one holding you here. If you resist anymore, we'll have you taken in for obstruction of public duties. Wait, you're the police? That didn't work either. She really isn't letting her guard down. Sorry, Soto. This is our last chance. Despite appearances, yes, defying us could net you quite the heavy punishment. I see. You must be from Paranormal Affairs. And I definitely can't do what you say. What? You're quite some nerve standing up to us despite knowing where we're from. Don't you think... don't think you'll get off lightly for this. Threatening me won't get you anywhere. You can't arrest me unless it's an emergency, right? No, there's no need to be so uptight. How about we stop all this and just talk a bit? Not happening. You're just going to use a curse the moment I drop my focus. You're also with Paranormal Affairs, then. Sorry, I have no idea what you're talking about. I suppose this is the trouble with secret departments. Not even their own members recognize each other. What a bother. You're... Oh, okay. So, we're both from Paranormal Affairs, are we? Let's talk. Perhaps there's some way we can help. I told you, I don't know what you're talking about. It's none of your business anyway. Even knowing we're from Paranormal Affairs, you kept a straight face and hid your ties. I can tell you're both bold and smart. Thanks, I guess. Will you give up now? Am I supposed to be able to do this? I don't... If you resist anymore, we'll have to be taken in for obstruction of public duties. Wait, you're with the police? Despite appearances, yes, defying us could net you quite the heavy punishment. I see. You must be from Paranormal Affairs. And I definitely can't do what you say. What? You have quite some nerve standing up to us despite knowing where we're from. Don't think you'll get off lightly for this. Threatening me won't get you anywhere. You can't arrest me unless it's an emergency, right? Even knowing we're from Paranormal Affairs, you kept a straight face and hid your ties. I can tell you're both bold and smart. Thanks, I guess. Will you give up now? Now, there's no need to be so uptight. How about we stop all this and just talk a bit? Not happening. You're just going to use a curse the moment I drop my focus. Alright. We'll back off and leave you be. How's that sound? You're just trying to get me to drop my guard, aren't you? Not happening. Can we assume the foreign man who took Somakawa as a friend of yours then? So, what if he is? Why are you trying to follow them? We'd rather not be heavy-handed about this either. Let's calm down and find some other way to resolve this, Sorry, but that won't work on me. I'm at a rebellious age, you see. What do you want with Miss Somakawa? I could say the same to you. You just want the relic for yourselves, don't you? What? You know about the relic? Alright. We'll back off and leave you be. Soto, you can stop now. Ma'am? Really? Thanks. Ah! You grown-ups and your dirty tricks! You did well to be cautious of us. I'm afraid this is how grown-ups get things done. Now, will you tell us what you're up to here? Ugh. Well, I suppose I slowed you down enough. You'll never catch up to the boat now. Maka Sistera, guide my path, and with thy merciful hand uphold me. What? She broke the binding. Bye-bye. Confound it. Stop right there. Looks like she's given us the slip. I doubt we'll be able to catch up to her now. Still, I'm going to have a word with Paranormal Affairs about that girl. I put in a call to Paranormal Affairs about our errant young lady just now. I see. I assume she's affiliated with them? Yes, it seems her name is Circe Lunarlight. She's an exorcist from England who's come here on exchange, part of her spiritual training, as I understand. The Lunarlight family? I see. Oh? Are they well known? I've heard of them, yes. They're a distinguished family of exorcists. Quite an old one, too. It would certainly explain the strength of her spirit sense. Right. In any case, it seems she's in the care of the Paranormal Affairs while she's in Japan. Honestly, I do wish they'd tell us these things in advance. What's she doing here in Mie Prefecture? Well, it seems even Paranormal Affairs isn't sure what she's up to. They've been looking for her. From the sound of things, she's been skipping her training assignment to travel around Japan, visiting all sorts of spiritual spots instead. Doesn't seem like they're keeping an eye on her at all. Unfortunately not. They asked me to tell her to return to Tokyo at once when we next see her. I see. More work for us, then. Yes, the things we find ourselves caught up in. She seems to know about Somakawa, too. I've got a bad feeling about this. Shall we try looking for her? I imagine she's still in the area. No, not now. If all that is true, I doubt she'll be looking to cause too much trouble. Besides, I'm sure we'll run into each other again eventually. Well, I think that's enough trouble for one day. Let's call it a day. We'll head for Kamishima first thing tomorrow. Understood. We can do Sato or Arnav. Discovering the Mermaids of Ise Bay, Arnav Barnum. Arnav Barnum, a cheerful fantasy author, sets off on a trip to visit the mermaid legends of Ise Bay with his relative, Circe Lunarlight, as his guide. Date unknown, August 1980 X. Morning. Kawage Town. After much hustle and bustle, we finally managed to make our way to Ise Bay. Nice. Take it all in now. We're standing on the coast of Nakabeppo in Mie Prefecture's Kawagage Town, which means this is the Sea of Ise, the connection to the eternal world. How amazing. Indeed, it is. Come, Circe. Henceforth begins our grand adventure in search of the legendary mermaids of Ise Bay. How amazing. I just can't stop saying it. Without further ado, my name is Arnav Barnum, an American-born fantasy author. Please call me Avi. Who are you introducing yourself to, weirdo? Oh, well, I simply thought a new beginning called for a little dramatic flair, you know? Sure. With that out of the way, perhaps my darling guide can provide some insight into the goings-on of this locale. Sure, I've got you covered. While this area is now called Nakabeppo, long ago it was a region of Ise province known as Betsuo. Records indicate that 3 mermaids were caught in a fisherman's net along this coast back in the Heian period. Now that's what I'm talking about. Let's hear more about those mermaids. They had human heads with the mouths of monkeys and the teeth and bodies of fish, and they spoke and even shed tears like humans. Could these be the fish mermaids you mentioned before, Avi? Indubitably, yes. Yeah, this must be the place. I'm getting goosebumps. Right, I feel the same way. This is so exciting. The endless expanse of the Ise Sea, the eternal world may lie just beyond this horizon. After all, Ise province is the land whither repair the waves from the eternal world. The eternal world is purported to be a perpetual paradise, a separate plane from the world we live in, yes? Could it be that mermaids hail from such a place? This young lady is a distant relative of mine, the 3rd daughter from the Lunarlight family. The Lunarlights have been in the business of demonic exorcism in England for several generations now. As such, young Circe has received education on this rare subject from a young age and is now an apprentice exorcist. In order to continue her training, or more likely simply because of her interest in the area, Circe has come to Japan to study abroad. Upon hearing such news, I sought to employ her as my guide for this mermaid hunting expedition to Ise Bay. She is apparently quite fond of Japanese myths and folktales, and has already explored a number of areas concerned with the occult. Interested in visiting Mie Prefecture at least once during her stay, she immediately agreed to my request. As far as the girl is concerned, I suppose I could be considered a guardian of sorts. Even so, I often find myself caught up in her pace and completely thrown off guard. If anyone should be shaking things up around here, it ought to be me. How about this place? Kawagage Town might be located right next to Mie Prefecture's modern capital, Tsu City, but there's something you have to keep in mind. This was also the birthplace of the Heike, a branch of the Heian period's preeminent Taira clan. If you're going to talk about Ise province, then you absolutely have to mention the Heike. I do have a passing understanding of the topic. The Heike took part in the Genpei War, correct? That's right. That was the war in the Heian period where 2 great samurai families, the Minamoto and the Taira, locked horns and really got into it. Among the Heike, Taira no Kiyomori was a particularly famous figure who appears in many creative works concerning the event. His father, Taide no Todomori was the one responsible for securing the Haike's high social standing. So Todomori was Kiramori's father, right? With names like that, how can anyone hope to keep them straight? That's history for you. I'm afraid you just have to memorize them. I suppose you're right about that. Then memorize them I shall. Apparently, Todomori was born in Sioux City in a place called Ubashina. And so... yeah, so that's why they call this area the birthplace of the Haike. Talk about this place. This is the metropolitan center of Mie and a locus of historical events. I guess that makes it the perfect place to start a new journey. About the Batsuo mermaids. Can we get back to those mermaids you mentioned? What became of the 3 that were caught in the fishing nets? At that time, the lord of this area was Taita no Tadamori. You didn't already forget him, did you? Well, the fisherman thought the mermaids were a fascinating find, so he placed 2 of them into boxes and presented them to Tadamori. Oh, Lord Tadamori must have been well pleased by that. How could he not be? It was known that eating the flesh of a mermaid grants eternal life. Actually, Tadamori evidently said they were disturbing and gross and refused to accept them. Bah! What a waste! However, the fisherman cut up the remaining mermaid and ate it himself. So, what happened to him? Well, the fisherman said it was pretty tasty. Well now, tasty is it? And that's all I've got. That's it? That's all I could find in existing records. Then the act of eating a mermaid's flesh alone may not produce any results. I suppose then there may be other requisite conditions, wouldn't you say? Well, considering the sheer number of eyewitness reports concerning mermaids, it's odd that there aren't more immortals walking around. There don't seem to be any records about what happened to the mermaids that Tadamori refused to accept. I suppose it's possible someone in the Haiki clan snuck off with them. Now that's a hypothesis I can get behind. Talk about the Haike. I put together an assortment of files concerning the Haike, so feel free to give them a look if you're interested. You have my heartfelt gratitude. Oh, there's one more thing I should warn you about, though. Oh? This group sometimes gets referred to as the Ise Taira as well, which might make things a little confusing. I'll go ahead and label it all as Haike. Does it really matter? Aren't they basically the same thing? Not exactly. You see, the term Ise Taira refers to the Taira clan as a whole because it originated in Ise. On the other hand, people generally refer to the family within the clan that included Tadamori and Kiramori as simply the Haike. Their family features prominently in the stories we're interested in, so I'll use Haike most of the time, plus it has a nice ring to it. Either way works for me, so do as you like. The tale of the Haike also used Haike. You're awfully particular about this, but I rather like that kind of fastidiousness. Anyway, after a number of events, the Haike would go on to lose the Battle of Dan no Ura and be completely eradicated. I believe I know this one. Dan no Ura is found in Kyushu, is it not? Bingo. The clan was chased out of Kyoto and pushed further and further west until they were eventually wiped out there. It pains me to think of such a resplendently glorious clan meeting, such an ignominious end. More is the pity. That's why the Haike's resentment is particularly strong, and many remnants of it remain even today. Shrines and monuments have been erected throughout the land in an attempt to quell that resentment. And now we reach your particular field of expertise. Because the clan fell from such an exalted position so abruptly, that resentment is exceptionally persistent and quite pervasive. That said, famous places related to people like Taira no Kiyomori are well attended by worshippers, so they're relatively stable. It's the puffed up and pretentious Haike clan members that no one even remembers who caused the most trouble. I seem to recall a number of individuals going so far as to claim that those outside of the Haike clan could not even be considered human. But if that's the case, are we really safe here? You don't think we might find ourselves assailed by the lingering grudges? Much of Ise province is protected by shrines, and the area is suffused with spiritual energy, so we're probably safer here than most places. But that's just the land itself. Objects or people that resentment has seeped into are a different story altogether. That's somewhat troubling to hear. Well, either way you look at it, this region is still home to many places and things associated with the Heike. Excellent. I believe I've gotten a grasp of the situation at hand. It is time we made our way to the next locale. We're on the clock, after all. Let's get to it. $1980X morning, Ano-town, Kusawa. Or Kusawa. Well, it would seem that we've arrived. And where are we now, Cersei? This is an area in Ano-town known as Kusawa. Kusawa is quite famous because of the Yao Bikuni legend. I'd be surprised if there was anyone who hasn't heard of it. I'm sorry to say I've never heard of it. Oh, wait, really? Come now, don't act so shocked. You can't expect me to know every little thing. And besides, I'm not even from this country. The very reason I requested you to be my guide was so that you could teach me about things like this. I guess that's true. Okay, I understand. I'll be counting on your explanations. Ah, the fabled beauty of the serene Japanese countryside. It really is charming. Oh yes, the incessant chirping of locusts combined with the unrelenting heat. This is Japanese summer, all right. It's fascinating to think that such a peaceful place could be home to such profound historical events. I'm practically jittering with excitement. I can see that. Let's try to keep a cool head, shall we? What's down there? Some sort of shrine? This shrine is apparently dedicated to Sugawara no Michizane. We should go pay our respects before we leave. Mockingbird 16. Legend of Yao Bikuni. Legend of Yao Bikuni originated here in Kusawa, Ano-town. Long ago, a 17-year-old girl named Osato lived in this village. She unknowingly ingested the meat of a mermaid that was served during a village gathering and became immortal. After subsequently being persecuted by the other villagers, she became a nun and made a pilgrimage around the entire country. At the end of the story, she eventually returned to the village and lived out the rest of her very long life. Tales told in other parts of the country play out in almost exactly the same fashion. Yeah, I guess that's true. The legend of Yao Bikuni, the girl who ate the flesh of a mermaid and lived for 800 years, has been passed down all over Japan. Not only here in Mie Prefecture's Ano-town, but in Fukuyu, Aichi, and Gifu prefectures as well. In total, the story has been found in 121 locations in 28 prefectures throughout the country, or at least that's what a certain research has indicated. Doesn't that seem like a lot? Were there really that many different Yao Bikunis out there? Obviously, not all of the legends can be true. But I actually have a theory on the subject. Would you like to hear it? By all means. Most of the legends refer to a woman who stopped aging and lived for 800 years after consuming the meat of the mermaid. At that point, because others would find it strange that she wasn't getting any older, she wasn't able to live in normal society anymore. I suppose that would be natural. It would explain why she withdrew from the world and became a nun. Exactly, and that's how she got the name Yao Bikuni, the 800-year-old Bikuni nun. With 800 years on her hands, she could have easily made a pilgrimage around the entire country. Oh, interesting. Buddhist priests are known for trekking throughout the land as a form of aesthetic training. And if we consider the 121 locations where the legend was found, with 800 years to spare, she could have spent 6 years in each location. 6 years would certainly be enough time for her to make a name for herself in each and every location, right? Oh, my dear, I believe I see what you're getting at. Your theory posits that the stories of Yao Bikuni that have been passed down in every corner of the country all refer to the exact same individual. Well, it might be a bit much to say that all of them are the same. There may have been a few different people. but it's more convincing than the theory that there were 121 people. I also think that Yaobikuni of Wakasa province is the most likely origin of the legend. I wonder, don't all the different instances of the story throughout Japan also claim that a particular location as her place of final rest? That may be true, but I assume that each of these different places wanted to have a grave or something tangible, or some other tangible marker to base the legend on. But would so many people that are purported to have lived for 800 years all die around the same time? Seems pretty unlikely. And you believe that some of the tales were embellished somewhat. And that sort of thing happens all the time. Legends are always mixtures of truth and fantasy. Moreover, it doesn't make sense that every single immortal would decide to become a nun. There were likely some places that simply believed Yaobikuni was the term for an immortal, rather than a nun. For all we know, she said, "I'ma be none of that," and became an Amma diver. Boo dumptus. That's actually pretty insightful. Many legends are based on simple semantic misunderstandings. Now just wait a minute. I won't stand here and let my dumb joke actually become a salient point of discussion. Let's drop it then. But still, if one were to somehow live for 800 years, a person that became immortal after the Kamakura period could still be alive today. True, and if so, I'd love to sit them down for a long chat. Well, it might not have a direct connection, but there is something one should always consider when discussing Ise. The Tales of Ise. Have you heard of it? It's the oldest extant collection of Japanese verse, compiled sometime during the Heian period. I'm afraid I'm not familiar with it. But I have heard the tale of Genji and the tale of Heike. Is it anything like those? Well, those were also stories written during the Heian period, but that's where the similarities end. Nice try, though. Well, they sound similar enough anyway. Don't worry, I'm not an expert on the subject either. Basically, this collection of verse elaborates on a number of waka poems by giving accounts of the events surrounding each one. The entire collection of 125 passages is referred to as the Tales of Ise. That's easy enough to remember, no? Tales of Ise is a collection of short stories. Check. One more thing. The title might be The Tales of Ise, but the content isn't all that's focused on the actual area. What's this now? Are they intentionally attempting to confuse and bewilder us? Some believe the title comes from the fact that the passage 69 is set in Ise province. At any rate, I just thought I should bring it up because it does have at least a slight bearing on the topic at hand. If you're keen to learn more, I'll add more detailed information to the files. Why, thank you. I'll be sure to read through them later. Can Kusawa's legend of Yaobikuni really be true? There must be falsehoods and fictions mixed into that tale, surely. Who knows? Ise province isn't that far from Wakasa province, after all. She may have simply walked here from there. The fact that the stories from each region, each different area, are so similar does make me wonder if they didn't get mixed together somehow. You think the legend may be an amalgamation of stories from various locations. Exactly. But then again... the immortal in the story from this location has her own name, which gives the legend a certain verisimilitude. Indeed it does. I guess we could assume that a girl with that name really did live here long ago. Then something must have happened to make people believe she had become immortal. It's reasonable to assume her story then got mixed up with various legends of Yaobikuni from around the country before being passed down. Of course, the exact timing of these events is still unclear, but that does present an interesting possibility. She could very well still be living in this village. Wouldn't that be a compelling development? Leave it to an occult writer to think up something like that. That's right. You're seeing the prodigious imaginative power of a fantasy author in action. Yes, it's really something. But the fact of the matter is that almost no traces of Yaobikuni remain in this village. Even her grave, which is referred to as Lady Yao's tomb, has never been located. But then, did we come all this way for nothing? There is one thing we can learn from the Tales of Ise. Adding the tale of to a book title really classes things up. You should keep it in mind. It was apparently all the rage during the Heian period. Oh, I couldn't agree more. My next work is certainly going to be a tale of... Well then, I suppose that brings this particular subject to a close. On to the next. No rest for the wicked, I say. Time to tackle the next mermaid myth. Sure. Alright, well, why don't we stop it there? This is meowmurai. You've been watching Paranormasight, the Mermaid's Curse, running on Nintendo Switch 2. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. I will see you at the next stream.